pay my tributes to our people who have lost their life in Pahalgaon due to terrorist activity. So, my tributes to the souls, and we are all stand together at the moment of their grief with their families, with the government, and all the people around. And we hope this is the probably the last of the incidents, and there won't be any reoccurrence of such heinous crimes. So peace be upon them, and my sincere and deep condolences to them. Om Santi. Thank you. So now let's begin the mandate that we want to share with you. Today, as Dr. Bennett has explained, the Dr. Nageshwar Rao was taken the class, and there is a sequence through which we ought to have been moved. But as there are unfortunate things happen, even in the era of AI, internet connection, connectivity, and artificial intelligence, so there are problems in. So anyway, uh, despite breaking the sequence, let me share with some of my insights, my understanding, and about this particular program, and about this methodology, and about my topic on structuring a research paper. I'm sure that in previous classes you would have been given a broad perspective regarding how to conduct research, how to collect data, how to go through a review of literature, how to prepare a research design, how to develop a hypothesis, and mechanism to test them, etc., etc. So these are, in fact, because the steps of research. So I would not add much to them, but I would say that research is not just a single unit. There are multiple aspects. There are multiple dynamisms into it, and there is a process involved in it, and we all need to understand the nuances, the conditions, and the consequences of them. So, when I have to say regarding structuring a research paper, some people say, sir, we could keep it in late, some people say keep it in middle session, and some people say we could also add introduction to that. But I believe that it is one of the most important aspects today, more so when we are following the ethos of publish and perish earlier time. But now it means that if you are not publishing in academic life, you are dead. You might be a great teacher, that many things happen. Many of my contemporaries, many of our seniors, they have been great teachers and they have led a very good life in it. But their contributions are not known to others. And therefore, they are limited to the school, the colleges where they teach, university they teach, and the band of students they have created. Outside that orbit, they do not have much known name, fame, or they might have contributed, but they have not contributed developing the subject. And one of our every experience knowledge in the field of inquiry is two aspects. One, we have to build field of inquiry by interacting with others,
Excuse
by
me, sir.
interacting
Sorry
with
for the interruption.
others.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir.
And second,
Hello, sir.
Mr. Bennett, sir, he is not hearing.
Yes, sir. Sir, your screen is not visible, sir.
I will add uh, slide and just give me some minutes. Now I'm giving introduction. Once I share the slides. Yeah. It's true. We'll share the screen, right? Give me a few minutes. 2 seconds. Let me share. Where it is. Okay. It is visible now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is streaming, sir.
Yeah. Fine. So as I was discussing, have to do some contributions, interaction with others, and those interactions are not necessarily by one-to-one, but the interactions can also be taken place through our writings. So it is in this context this paper holds importance. Now, when we talk about NEP or our National Education Policy 2020, many of you are aware that why this policy should have been done, what is game-changing things it will do, on how it would influence our research, our academics, and our academic administration. One aspect is that because there is an increasing realization that our contributions are worldwide in terms of research, number one, is limited, and secondly, in terms of quality research, is very, very limited. So what we are trying to do that we are research, but just for the sake of getting a degree or something like that, or just writing a paper, but we are not doing enough quality research, which will put the Indian knowledge contributions at the global pedestal, at the global level, where we would match our international standards. And probably it is in this context, this type of methodology resource as workshops are important. ICS, SSR does it. Many times I have been an expert in meetings. Or some of us we have also done our own university this research on methodology, because without a understanding contributes substantially to the field of knowledge. Because unless your methods are correct, approach is correct. Your contribution.
Sir,
Yeah,
good evening, sir.
yes.
Sorry for the interruption. Sir, audio is not clear, sir. It's interrupting.
This whole idea of researching, structuring research paper, active paper. How do you do so? Mechanisms will adapt. What if structural and content, structural and contextualization? This entire work is certain standards, certain types, and maybe there are some network issues. I'm trying. If you in the first is there. Let's see whether you are writing a research thesis or whether you are writing a paper for a journal, whether you are publishing an material, whether you're writing a report. There are certain aspects there. So what I'm sharing with you now, the first and foremost aspect in structuring a paper, because what people see, there are two aspects of writing a paper. One, generally, ordinarily, is what is the structure of it. Secondly, what is the content of it. Now, people who go to the content part, mostly probably lateral, though content is very, very important. But content goes to stage 2, and stage 1 is how it is structured. Many times you apply for many journals, and the journals reject your article without going into content because you have not fulfilled the first criteria of this structure. So if your language are not fluent, if your bibliography is not correctly right, followed the procedure and guidelines, if you are not follow the proper syntactical order the journal requires, then your paper will be rejected ipso facto immediately. They don't even go through it. They will say, no, you have not followed the structure. So therefore, a structure is also one very, very important part. Though we always focus on content, and I would say time and again that content is very, very relevant, very, very essential. But content part we go together if structure. It's like face. So what you say, people look at letter, but how you present yourself is important. So if your presentation is good, you're presentable you are, then people also listen with focus that what they are going to say. But if you come with savvy, and then after some time people might listen to you, but initially they would have rejected your views. They would leave the audience. Audience will leave the venue saying that okay, he has not come prepared. He has not looking something. So that is how you have to look into the aspect in a paper. So first aspect is that the title is something, and people just the title. So when you see, it talks about the sharing, it talks about the dynamic of it, and therefore we have to choose a title. And the title should be usually catchy if you want to have the attention of people. It has to, first thing, must match with the work you are doing. So there will be no mismatch between the title and the subject. But the subject in this matter is not title. So how your title, because it's like head. Or like you see, if you make a comparison between the people who are making images and statues, and then they said the eyes set at the last, the visage is last. So he said it has to, in a sense, a title must communicate what you intend to say, what you intend to say. In science, we have find there are very lengthy titles on structure and dynamics of DNA, RNA, like that, keep on writing lengthy titles. And some of in social science research Also, we find people have given a very, very lengthy title. Now, the idea is that if a title is too lengthy, and it is not required, it only takes out the space, it only limits the interest of a reader and takes a lot of space in it. So, the idea is how do you have a title which will communicate the author, the audience, the researcher, the readers properly about the task, about our intentions. Some people give a very catchy title, but fine, the catchy titles are good if you're writing a journalistic article. We don't, as a researcher, we don't need very catchy title. It's fine if it happens. Like you're working on a community, or working on communalism, or working on development, these words will come. The title will be there. But do we have give a title like such a way that a small title will force people to look, oh, what did there? What content would you have? So they will enlist a response from them. They will seek a response from them, create a curiosity among them. So that is why we would think about giving title. Some of our writings, if say like if we're working on a development model, like you say, if we're looking at NEP, obviously NEP will be title. But what type, what aspect of NEP are looking at into? That also come in title. Whether I am talking about teacher education, whether I am talking about pedagogy reform, whether talking about higher education, whether talking about primary education, about elementary education, right? We about distance education, about open learning system. So we need to look at the specificity of it, and that specificity must come into sense that this title suggests that your body of work. So the more precise, convenient, contextual, concise title you will leave, the better it will be for the paper. Instead of writing everything in a title, making it savvy, it's important that we have it. Now, how some people will look at it this title. So that is one thing. I'll come back if somebody has some questions in the second session. But let's see. Once you have a title, then the journals usually ask, hey, you have to write an abstract. Second part, if one title is there, so I am writing in now, say the context like Durkheim writes suicide. Look at the works. For example, a sociologist, you will see some examples I would like to give you. Take book. Even when Durkheim wrote the book, all his books, look at the title. First, the division of labor, which was his doctoral dissertation. Simple. De la division du travail social, the division of labor in society. Second work, which even today, in the sense, what is idea about the concept, so how he has able to capture by writing a book called The Suicide or the very simple, small, simple, interested in that. Okay, slide. Right, which books? Capital and titles. German Communist Manifesto. Capital. Right. So these are all that given, but that title book. But something article journals that the articles they have written. Only, for example, I think about anecdote here, example here. In Forest Review, which was titled as Class of it is not it's that are the class of usually for gonna develop book. This is how you know place. If you want to bring an, then obviously the title is meaningful. Is impactful or not to reading, to take.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Excuse me, sir. Sir. Okay. Professor, sir. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Sir, you are not audible, sir. And the PPT is also not visible, sir.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, your PPT is not available. We cannot see
Yes,
your
sir. Yes, ma'am.
PPT.
We are trying to tell him, but sir is not listening. I don't know what kind of technical issue
So
is
the
it.
PPT is not available.
Not available. His voice is not clear. There are a lot of issues, but we are trying to talk to him, but he was not accepting our call, ma'am. He is not hearing, first of all. Anyhow,
Cracky, we hardly can hear you.
Yes, ma'am. We do our best, ma'am, quickly.
Sir, you can ask him to send you PPT or anybody, and they can share the PPT. At least we can read from there.
Sure, ma'am. This is what we are asking him. We are calling him
No,
from
ma'am.
different
No,
direction, but
I have called him, ma'am.
Hmm.
I have called him. He's joining again, connecting again.
Sir, excuse me.
Yeah.
Ma'am, the presenter
okay
is
now?
rejoining. Yeah. Now it's audible, sir. Very clear audible.
Excuse me,
Fine.
sir. We cannot
My
hear you. Neither your PPT is available.
Yeah. It's because there are some technical problems. Just let me take it again for you. Yeah. Is it?
Sir, your PPT is not available.
Wait.
Ma'am, kindly wait, ma'am. We are working on it. Kindly wait.
We'll
Don't
be sharing the
patient
PPT
that
also
way.
finally. Don't worry, ma'am.
Yeah. So just hold on for a second. Right. Am I audible now?
Audible, sir, and PPT also,
I'm
yes,
visible,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir. Now you are audible.
Fine. Thank you. Sorry, this is some technical issues already happened. So what I was trying to tell about that if you writing a paper, the structuring is important in the sense that out of the structure and content, so people look to or go for content after looking at the structure. Many journals will reject your response, a system generated approach where if your article is not good enough, if it doesn't follow the standard protocols, so the automatically AI will reject them. Therefore, it is imperative that you follow a particular structure for a particular journal that you're writing, and that is why your structure should be, you should also focus on the structure. Secondly, what I was trying to tell about title. Now, once your title is that, I was discussing largely about saying that when you say title, many times you are interested to have a title which will eye-catching, which will give an idea, a synoptic view towards the work you are going to present. And the more precise, concise your title will be, or focus your title will be, then it will give a bird's eye view to the research you are going to present. And people will be, of course, will be happy or interested at what they look at, what type of articles, what type of work you are going to do. Because if your article attract your title attracts them, they will see like, okay, something good is work. And that is why I was saying the titles like Durkheim's work I was talking about. Emile Durkheim's work, the first work, The Division of Labor, which was his PhD dissertation. Second work, Lee Suicide, very interesting work. Suicide, simple title, The Suicide. And it was very both eye-catching, and everybody would know that, look, this suicide means his work is entirely focusing on suicide as a concept, suicide as a theory. And then people will be interested, okay, what is there? We have never looked at suicide as a sociological, but here is somebody as giving a new perspective. And it would arrest your attention. Axel Strike, The Protestant Ethic and Spirit of Capitalism. It talks about the concepts we are dealing with. And at the last example I had given the example of Edward Huntington, Samuel Huntington. So Samuel Huntington or Samuel P. Huntington wrote one article in 1990s, then Far Eastern Economic Review, on class of civilization. Later, that article was so widespread, so widely acknowledged, and so much people are interested that he worked on it to put it as a book, and he published that book in 1993 as Class of Civilization. Now, these are titles. For example, Foucault, Discipline and Punish, 2 words, and it becomes a work. So, and in fact, somebody is talking Erving Goffman's The Presentation of Self in Everyday Life. So there are some very beautiful works people have done, fabulous works they have done, and we are interested to look at the title. And therefore, I think it is not our title should be something as a fancy. I never say it's a fancy, but it should always be to the point, to the crisp, to the precise, concise, and fitting into the whole gamut of work we are going to do it. So that's one. And one second aspect is like writing an abstract. So every journal now there is symposia, seminars, conferences. Before they said anything accept, they ask you to write an abstract. And what is abstract mean? So it would say a macrocosm. In a very microscopic way, you have to present your work. And they said how many words? So 100 to 250 words. Some say 100, some say 150 words, some say 200 words, some say 250 words. Maximum will be 300 words. So within this limit, somebody would say, if you're very generous, they would say, okay, 500 words. But what you want to present in 10,000 words or 5,000 words, 3,000 words, you have to reduce them into 100 to 50 words. So how to do that? So where to cut, where to limit, what to downgrade, what to upgrade, what to delete. These are a penumbra of thoughts. This creates a lot of problem for an ordinary researcher, because as I write, every word is important to me. Every line is important to me. And if I ask to cut them, how do you do that? How will I able to do that? So that is in that sense. So somebody has to really work. Hey, if I have to say 2 hours, I can say anything what you want. But if they say, they give me, sir, you have to submit it within 2 minutes. Then I have to do a real exercise. That what is the crux of my argument? How can I reduce them into words and then reduce those words into what I can speak in 2 minutes? And similarly, so a paragraph, I have to say that. In that paragraph, I have to summarize my entire study. In that paragraph, I have to talk about why I do it work, what is my introduction to that, what type of methodology I'll follow, what type of conclusions I can think about, and then the right keywords, 5 keywords, say development, gender law, prohibition, whatever work you are doing, 5 words. And those 5 words must be liberally, systematically, substantially used in your work to give you an insight. So in that sense, your abstract must be insightful. Your abstract must be precise. Your abstract must be concise to that. It must have those words. And anybody who would read an abstract, which always like looking for more. Many times when you are studying literature, our teacher used to say us, if you study a novel, you look at an ending and look at things. But if you look at a short story, it is not an ending in itself. It actually asks you to do more. What is more? What will be happening there? So it's creating a episodic effect on that we need to look at that. And therefore, our focus in understanding of abstract must be in that way. And the more clear, concise, precise abstract you are able to write, then the readers of that abstract, then they'll say, okay, there is what is called, there is something in it. It is like you have a seed in that. And the analyst, the evaluators, once they read through, they think this abstract has a seed, which is the possibility of to grow as a tree. And therefore they will accept it or they will reject it. That is what I think when I share with you the idea of the abstract. Am I audible now? Hello?
Yes,
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Audible.
Yeah.
Audible.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Because I now need to be conscious of it. Otherwise, I keep on saying, and there is no voice, so it will be now loss for both of us. Okay. Now, once you have that abstract, then we come back to part is introduction. Then we will look at introduction. Now, many people think that your the introduction itself will tell you the world about your study. How you are introducing your topic, your resource to the audience is the base or foundation. How they will accept it. So you write about introduction regarding topic. Sometimes I look at some work, some PhD work, some articles, which we often have to reject. They make a very elaborate, lengthy introductions which are not relevant, which may be relevant for other point of view. But in the context of your article, the relevance is limited. Like if I studied Patitantra in my childhood, it might have an effect on me. It might give me a perspective. But how that would be relevant if I'm writing a paper on India's foreign policy? Unless until, like A. Jaishankar, I would say that I have learned my art of foreign policy from Panchatantra. Right? What is called Mitra Vedam? That is different. But otherwise, if you're writing about Indo-Pakistan places or Southeastern politics and talk about the importance of relevance of SARC, then I don't have to look at going from Panchatantra and ending up with Gujarat doctrine, Vajpayee doctrine. That is not standard. So our introduction in the sense that we have to introduce the topic I want to do. If it about gender, if it about poverty, if it about community development, if it about sociology of health, sociology of literature, in that sense, I have to, regarding the topic, my introduction should be there. That in the global context today, that community development or what we are now, gender has played a significant role, or cultural analysis plays an important role. So that way I have to introduce it. And it should look at the relevance of it. Why the topic is relevant today. So otherwise, people don't look at your work. For instance, when you go to evaluate some ICCR projects, they would say that, what is its social relevance? What is its policy relevance? Because if you are funding agency, I am funding, I would look at its relevance. If it is a broader social, if it is individual relevance, if PhD topic is relevant for me, because I will get an increment or I will get an appointment. If I would write my doctorate in my name, fine, it's relevant to me individually. But the question, if you are a funding agency, I would know why it is relevant for us. Similarly, as a social science research, a knowledge, we think knowledge itself is relevant. But how relevant it is to us? And then what challenges we'll find? That is why I'm writing this article. Because if I don't write this, if I don't work on it, then what is missing? Then what is we lost? Somebody write a different type of methodology. Erving Goffman, long time talk about reduction of self. That what type of methodology? He said, no, this methodology is important. He said it's relevant because there are diverse people. Conversation analysis is an important methodological inquiry. Phenomenology. All said to your earlier researchers were what we call our positivist methodology. Somebody says, no, I'm writing it is a new, I'm introducing a new methodology. And it has challenges. It cannot give you quantifiable data, but it is give you qualitative data. So somebody will find that is why the qualitative data is as much relevant as quantitative data. But then there is challenges in that because two different people, two different groups will give two different opinions, probably for the same aspect, for the same concept. Right? So that is why the introductions are important. When Levi-Strauss wrote the mythologies, people say, what is mythology has to do with sociology or scientific research? But once you have proved it, and look, these are significant. in understanding the cultural system, in understanding the social institution, in understanding the social structure. So that is how your introduction should be there. Right? And again, I say the more sophisticated, presentable, focused, the clarity, then the introduction is better. You don't have to, in an article, you don't have to very lengthy introduction, even 1 or 2 paragraphs should be enough. So otherwise what happened, the introduction is 4 pages, but the main content are only 2 pages. That is the problem. That is an anomaly. So you go ahead with introduction, write a proper introduction, write it contextual, make it relevant, explain your challenges, but within 2 paragraphs. And if you're writing a thesis, maybe you can take 2 pages or 3 pages like that. Nothing. Obviously, some people say introduction is introductory chapter. No. Introductory chapter is different one, or introduction is different. If you make introductory chapter in a PhD work, that is different. But in a journal, that introduction should not be 2 to 3 paragraphs, right? Or 2 paragraphs to be very, very precise. Then a review of literature. Again, there will be people who will be teaching you or who have already taught you the essential of a review of literature. Why it is relevant. I don't want to get into details of it, why review of literature is relevant. But without saying that, I also cannot re-emphasize on you that when I'm writing a PhD thesis, writing a review report, or writing an article, why should I have a review of literature? You read articles in journals like Economic and Political Weekly, Standard, Sociological Bulletin, standard works you look at it. American Sociological Review, look at journals internationally, and you'll find when they write an article, especially field study based one, they always have a review of literature. And if you are applying, for example, project or doctoral grant for ICSSR, there has been for review of literature. Why that is? What should that do again? We cannot write a thesis like 20 pages review of literature, but we have to limit it again. So you have to limit it. We have to look what are the prior studies in the area. Why is that? Because they are the link between the past and present. Between the past and present. What has been done, what is going to be done, and where I am locating my work in that. So your review of literature should be that. And it deals substantive issues in that. I must tell you that when I look at review of literature, and when I ask my students to look at write review of literature, what are the key points I say? I say review of literature must focus three aspects: substantive, methodology, and conceptual. Whether the work that you are reviewing has conceptual clarity, what is methodology it has used, how relevant the methodology is that, the theoretical aspects of that, theoretical, conceptual, methodological, and then what are the substantive issues which are going to deal with. Once we have done that, the next aspect will be whether there is a research gap, because we do study review of literature because we need to find out a research gap. So that there is a gap, my study will cover that. So that is the relevance of your work in that sense. So your review of literature should have those literature who are relevant to you, who have worked on these areas, which are of different aspects. And even though they are your predecessors, but there is something lacking in it. And through your intervention, you are trying to bridge that gap. It helps you identify the gap. Right. So that is why review of literature is also an aspect or dimension of your research. Right. Am I audible now? Is it okay?
Yes, audible, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can I Okay,
audible.
thank you.
Yes,
Thank
you
you.
are
Thank you.
audible, sir.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now then, I look at the methods. Now somebody said, once you are review of literature, then the other part which any referee or evaluator will look into the study your methodology. Project method. It includes these aspects. The design, to use, the participants, and the study course. So you look at any hundreds of look at the methods.
Sir, audio not clear now.
Research design is expected.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Please. Am I audible? Hello?
Now you are audible.
I mean, I have sent a message also. I'm not audible.
Now you
Audible,
are clearly
sir.
audible, sir.
Audible now? Okay, fine. Sometimes it happens, like I don't know why suddenly it happens. Anyway, so the idea is that the research design talks about largely that what process you have followed in order to, like, develop a hypothesis. So how to test the hypothesis? Now the methods I am following to test the hypothesis, are they in line with the standard protocols and procedures? So in that sense, you write what is the research universe you are talking about? What
Excuse
area are you
me,
talking
sir.
about?
Your
Who
PPT is not visible.
Pardon?
Sir, PPT is not
PPT will
visible.
share. Don't worry. Don't worry about PPT. Don't focus on PPT. Just listen to me. PPT will be shared. Right. So I am just uttering those words. So don't focus on the PPT. It will be given to you. So the idea is that what are these participants who are there? Your respondents are there. Who are participating into it? Right. And what type of materials have you used? So primary material, primary data, secondary data, primary records, secondary records, and this what type of study procedure you have followed. So these are certain dimensions, certain aspects you look at your, and once our methods correct? That means half of your work is done. Then any reviewer will see that your work is good. Then the next issue. So what are the issues you have dealt with? What are your perspective? And what about the data? This is again the most important aspect of your article. It might happen that your article is a conceptual one. It might be article is a empirical one. So when you look either way, then you have to find out what are the issues you are dealing with. What type of perspective you want to give? If you are working on gender, if you are working on economy, if you are working on polity, then what type of perspective is giving? And then the data. Whether you are using the empirical, I say, theoretical work, substantive work, the empirical work. If you are empirical one, field work based or non-field work based, but collected from data like census, and you are analyzing the data. So that has to be clearly identified. And then that data simulation, that procedure has to be explained in detail. So that is the aspect we can talk about in terms of your research work. The more sophisticated you are, the clarity is there, explanation is there, substantive issues are dealt with properly, empirical issues are explained, that you have gone to that work, you have found out this number. Look at the empirical.
Audible, sir.
There is also a different structure. For example, if I read Buddhist literature, I would say there is a class of entrepreneurs. They all come Sashti or Sredis. There's the caste system, the guild system. So in a sense, there is certain entrepreneurship over there. And it look about what, how to look at entrepreneurship. These are the entrepreneurship is essentially capitalistic. Now in today's world, we look at entrepreneurship, innovation, but they are not necessarily capitalistic. They can be community centered, they can be self centered. So therefore, our theoretical, substantive, empirical models are relevant, and that is how you explain them through the data is an aspect. Data is there, but once you got the data, from the analysis you are developing your perspective and then presenting them. Then I look at this resultant discussion. Once they have done, your data is there. So you focus on the findings. What are the findings of it? What is significance of the findings? How are the relevant they are? What are their implications? What are the limitations? What the recommendation they are and conclusions. So this is what is essentially the next chapter when you look at your article. So these are resultant discussion is a failure. So whatever the data you have collected, how substantially present, then you present your findings. Like this field, I found this. This is the policy. This is the perspective. This is the failure. This is the significance. This is the implications. So if I'm looking at, if we're looking at my findings, I say, look, my findings are this. I found, despite of these things, there is poverty. I found there is an increasing, gender division. There are gender stereotypes. There are violence, caste violence, community violence, ethnic cleansing. Look at these are my findings. And then I see they are significant because they are creating chaos, anomaly, destruction in society. And my relevance is that I am bringing it out public. I'm saying that it is because unless until these issues are addressed, it is the ills of society. And or these things are existing, what are its implications? Like you say, new education policy, what will be implications of it? Years ago, government had a planning time called no blackboards. So they developed Operation Blackboard that every school must have a blackboard at least. Now, what is the implications of it? Like, it is when students focus. It allowed teachers to present things. And it's a tool to teach. So therefore, there are implications. Or are implications like single school, there are single teacher schools. So no, there should be no single teacher school. There are minimum 2 teachers should be there. What are the implications of that? In sense, has it brought learning ability students? Has it regularized students? Has it increased student participation, enrollment? Has it decreased dropout? These are issues and implications of it. And then, of course, many planning you do, they must have also the limitations, including my study. So you're right. My limitations are there. My theoretical structures is not sound, or I don't have necessary funds. I didn't have necessary researchers. I didn't have necessary time. So your time, energy, population, techniques, then there could be limitations. So you have to look at even the policy has limitations, other than the work has limitations. And then within those limitations, you said, okay, there could be certain limitations, so that you are safeguarding yourself from further assault on your work. People will despise, okay, there are limitations, but you are identifying limitations. And then, of course, you say, I have tried within the limitations. I have tried to limit those limitations and go beyond than that. However, there would be like any study, there could be a fault. There could be some issues at hand. There could be certain deficiencies. We accept that. And then you recommend. Then that is what I think is policy relevance. So we are recommending. Like I'm talking about mental health issues. So I'm recommending that okay, Government of India has a law. Mental Health Act, not Disability, but Mental Health Act 2017. So you should look at this act is there. And I recommend that there should be sanatoriums, what facilities should be there, visiting hours should be there. Like, or I can talk about this under trials, the problems, the prisoners' problems. So you recommend whether it should be more open prisons, whether should be decongestion of prisons, or the prison manuals require a change. So these are all recommendations you can study, right? And then you conclude that with this work and things. And I have tried, we have tried to look at it, suggest alternative remedies, and try to develop them. So in the sense, these are your resolution discussions that will effectively bring an end to your work, to your article. But the most the relevant or important part that left out, which is again technical work, and this technicality is that your references. So how you are preparing the references, or sometimes we call an article in your work. In PhD, it is bibliography or something like that. But in your articles, you look at references, and then the citation models and formatting terms. So what are the citation models you're following? Some have it's called footnotings. Some are endnotes. I know how do some are in-text citations. Now, how the citation models are there? There are any. It is again largely dependent on the types of the journal you are writing, and many journals have very hand steady responses. So they would like write guidelines for authors. When you're submitting an article for them, they have a guidelines. And these guidelines will say, how do you cite an author, a group of authors, an author's one work, single work, with multiple works, right? So how do you citing them? Name, I talk about the name of the book, the journal, whether you underline them, whether you are putting them in bold, whether you are writing, all citation model. Then how do you format the stuff? How do you use the formatting for them? Some people say like your indenting, what are to be italicized, how to be done italicized work, what type of formatting they would say. Like we normally say the formatting means standard Times New Roman. We say this is the font size. Then there's a font size. The font is Times New Roman. Font size will be say the text will be 12. The headings, subheadings, some are to be bold, some are to be 14. Some say it has to be in right align. Some say it has to be center align. These are all formatting structures. Varied from journal to journal, from paper to paper. So therefore, looking at this formatting part. Now, of course, a lot of tools are available online and offline tools. So people use them, but it is always relevant and essential that you have a precise understanding of it to developing or finding and formatting structures for that. So working on that, one these models, and then probably the thing when you other when you review an article, so the journal always suggested look at the reference model. Have this article followed to a reference pattern? If you say no, or if you find difficulty, then the article is rejected. Not because it doesn't have quality, but because it is not following that reference model, referencing pattern. So the referencing, citation models, formatting are important parts. Sometimes they said, okay, your footnoting should be italicized. There should be times, not if the main text is Times New Roman, then say on say Gravel or in Courier font should be your footnoting. And if main text is font size is 12, footnoting should be 10 or 8. So these are all structures a particular journal follow and ask its authors should abide by it. So these are again references there, but these are small things. But many times we think they are not relevant, or we think they are can haphazardly do it, running the risk of rejecting of a good article. So I think if I've really worked hard, if I've done a good work, if you have invested your time and resources in that, then your article should not be rejected just because it didn't follow a particular model and so. And once you do that formatting chapters, then they say, then they say tables and figures. So some journals, some articles say that you put tables and figures in middle in the text itself. Some journals say tables and figures must be towards the end of it. So whether you are writing for a book or writing for a journal, it again they are specific. So they specify that your data tables, your tables, figures, charts, graphs, diagrams. Sometimes many of them write an appendix. So if you have to give an appendix, you have to write that. Then it should come to the end of the article. Right. So these are data, tables, figures, charts, diagrams, extensively used. And the idea is that putting them in end of it. Hello. Is it
Sir,
audible
I
now?
muted, sir. I muted, sir. Sorry, sir. It's interrupted. I have muted, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So there are these your tables and figures are there. So they said how you will put those tables and figures, your data sheet. So some journals say that instead of putting them in the middle, you bring them in the end. That depends on again from a particular book writer to a particular journal, to a particular report, depends upon their specificities. Sometimes there is no universal rule regarding that and no specific standards for that, but then largely people, journals develop their own standards, so they would ask you to follow those things. And then appendix. So some journals, oh yes, this is only for your PhD. They are nothing to do with your article. So it's largely about this. If you are doing a research in PhD, so they would set your doctoral dissertation. So you look at appendix where you see additional information. Like for example, I was working among the weavers of Chanderi. We had a resale trading community in Chanderi, and then Government of India, nowadays, in order to safeguard the weavers' interests, safeguard the interest of the designers, so we have a policy called IPR, or intellectual property rights. And there are different dimensions of intellectual property, different aspects of it, like what is called trademark, copyright, like geographical indications, etc. So GI, we call it, or patents. Then the GI and patent, etc., etc. So Government of India said, look at every community applies for a GI. Like you have basmati rice, we have Darjeeling tea, we have Tirupati laddu. These are all GI specific. So they said we have a geographical, because this particular work is done in this area. It has a distinctive and unique feature, and therefore it has to be preserved and it has to be credited. So they apply for a GI tag, and Government of India gave them a GI tag. So this notification of GI tag, I wanted to put it. Now this I cannot put on as a table graph chart, but I can put in my research as an additional information, a government notification regarding that. Right. Then I am working in an area. Recently, I was reviewing an article as a thesis. Was working someone among the Saura tribes. That is a Saura called Langia Saura and the Saura tribes. Niyamagiri Hills of Odisha. So when I worked on that, I look at the map of that area. So I put that map. Many times you find students of Urdu, they are doing history work. So they would have a map of Chandragupta's Maurya Empire, historical map from that period. And similarly, I put a map where my what is called right. Somebody says my questionnaire. We have done. Structures this is my questionnaire. This is my right. For some people, is also important to be that we have a detailed programming. So like give codes like, so I said manufacturing is 2, government jobs is 4.
Sir, your audio is again not coming.
Professor Tapan sir. Hello. Hello. Sir, I'm audible.
Very curious student at one time, an undergraduate student. So we heard the name of Albert Parsons and his work. So my teacher, I asked my teacher, sir, I want to study Albert Parsons, and I know he's one of the great modern American great sociologist. He said, okay, fine. I bought the book, and I went to library. We read his book, Structure of Social Action Today. Believe me, Ajay, of course, English was not my mother tongue. And a student rummaging through library and finding that thick book, I read fast through pages, few pages. As an undergrad students, I couldn't understand head and tail of it. Right? I left the book there. I said it is not my cup of tea. Sociology, I left that book, but neither person of sociology left me. So when I did my masters, I again went with that book and read it. This time, little understanding was there. Still very difficult to understand. And then there is a road, somebody says, a very common phrase used, that person's thoughts are concealed by his writing, his words. It means it is very difficult to go through the words of person. So his words are not, his language is not very simple to understand us. On the contrary, for example, when I'm doing a master's, I was asked to read Margaret Mead's work, Coming of Age in Summer. It's a different matter that it was an interesting work. It's a different matter that it has some details. It has some eye-catching thing. Fine. But when I read, I took 2 or 3 sittings. I skipped my lunch. Morning I went, and by evening I finished that work. And I come back much illuminated. I still remember what I studied. The work was there. What are men thrust? Because it was simple and lazy reading. It was written like a novel and less like a anthropological work. So it is like this. And the example I wanted to share with you is Indian sociologist, man of Indian sociology and anthropology, Professor Amen Srinivas. When I was a very young student, sometime where I met, he was towards the twilight of his life, not career even. So there was one my teacher also. Actually, it was I am just a bystander. He went in the discussion with that. Then my teacher asked, "Sir, can you tell us how do you write your things so simply and lucidly?" Professor Srinivasan had a very benign smile, and he said, "You know, when I write some things, I read it, then I tear it off, throw it in my dustbin. I write again, I read it, then I throw it in my dustbin, and I do it till I am writing understandable to a person with limited English. So that reading for I am convinced that my writing is
The Professor Tapan sir.
The, I asked the, my there is a fellow person who was sitting there at the chairing session. He said, "Sir, your Hindi is better than even us because it is more bookish Hindi. Obviously, I am not using a colloquial Hindi. So when I learn Hindi, I learn it as a as they teach pure Hindi. So that is pure English, not as a. So today, language you find even in English literature, they have discarded Victorian puritanical approach both in writing and in content. So in that way, because we have become easy reading. Similarly, when I'm writing a paper around paper, we should actually try to read it, try to write it from the perspective of a reader. Who is reading? As Gandhi said in other contexts, that I think poverty is not done till the last year from the last person is wiped out. In that sense, we must approach. It is the most unconvincing person is convinced with our research. I must put my effort in the direction so that it should be valid, it should be clear, it should be precise, it should be simple, so that any ordinary person can be influenced. And that is a difficult task. That is a uh, arduous chart, and that's the beginning of a journey. We'll look at from that. So ordinarily for this, these are the perspectives, these are the way we have to write, we have to discuss, we have to submit, we have to examine, we have to categorize it. These are all dimensions of that. But generally, these are standards. But again, I say what I would mean that we create standards, we set patterns so that uh, large number of ordinary people will put into. We're not talking about genius. And that is therefore you develop a standard for that. Like I say, when you put a house lock in house, it is not for the thieves because they will break it if they want. It's for the gentlemen who come and see the lock and they realize you are out of town. So similarly, they're creating a structure and system for the ordinary people to facilitate that this is how you go through. And then if you are really your idea is good, even if you are discontented, if you are not appreciated by papers one another, then people will ultimately react to your ideas than the structuring of people. But these are about geniuses, about extraordinary people with extraordinary intelligence or extraordinary capabilities. But for us, ordinary teachers, ordinary students, ordinary researchers, we have to follow that prism. We have to follow that system. We have to follow that structures, and so that our initial writings are there. Once it is done, and at least our focus is that uh, the research and the knowledge is a social construction. It must reach to the people. It must reach to the policy people. It must reach to students. And the more simpler, better it is, then easier for everybody. So that is why the standards are set. There may be difficulties. There may be one steps here, one steps there. But nonetheless, this is the standard. Maybe some other teacher will, some other person will have a different focus, different mechanism, different way. But for me, this is how it is structured, it is presented, and I have tried to uh, bring them into a nutshell, uh, given the context of time, given the context of your understanding, given the context of this workshop. So I have tried to do that, and I'm not sure how successful I have been, but ordinarily, generally, this is the pattern. So with these words, I would go with these things. I have brought an end to that. So I would now last but to all of you promoted to the last one, call it. I think thinking, and then we have, because the teachers our writing that exists in front of the and practically and system. Despite this limitation, I hope I have been able to, right. Despite that for the point. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hello, Professor Mohanty.
Yes, Mr. Sandeep Sharma, sir, tell us.
Sir, actually, is he open for some question answer session?
Yes, sure,
Because-
sure. But we will ask sir to share the PPT so
Okay.
that people can go through it and understand. Due to some
And sir,
technical
I
and
request
internet.
you to please share the PPT in our group also.
Sure,
So that-
sure, definitely.
Because I had 2-3 questions also, since it was not audible, so I did not interrupted him in the middle
Okay.
at that stage.
No, if sir is finished, you can start to ask now.
So
I think
is he available right now?
I think he'll be joining, Masa. Now he's just left. I think sir will be joining again. Yes, he's joined again. Sir, Professor
Yeah.
Tapan, sir. Sir, it's sir, due to some technical issues, sir, participants
Sir,
are not
today the
able
voice
to.
was not at all fine.
Okay,
It was
okay.
a lot of glitch.
Yes. Now, for that, sir is joining again. You can start to interact with the sir now. Whatever the questions were, because
Yeah,
sir
good
able
evening.
to.
Good evening, Mohanty sir. I am Sandeep Sharma, PhD scholar with JG University, Ahmedabad.
Requested
I have a
to share the
question, sir.
PPT.
Can I ask the
Please go ahead.
question?
Go ahead.
Professor Mohanty, am I audible? Am I able to reach to you?
Yes, you are audible, Sandeep. Yes,
Okay.
Sandeep, you are audible. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Sir, my first question is, can we change the title at the
couple of days. So
at
please,
the
it
end
is
of
requested to
completion
share
of
the
our
PPT.
paper writing?
Yeah. Yes. Yes, Sandeep.
Please go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Hello.
Yeah. Yes, Sandeep, you said something like you said hello.
Yes, sir. What I was saying
Hello?
was that when we start writing a paper, so we have a
Yeah.
the broader title in mind. But at the end of the paper, by the time
Yeah.
we finish that paper, we complete the writing of the paper. Then can we change the title of the paper?
Yes, definitely.
Because sometimes what happens
And
is
certainly it is
when we
drastically
derive the
different.
results and when we conclude, by that time, certain things gets more clearer and means the title that we had assumed at the beginning, then it is a little insignificant and then we need to change it sometime.
That is there, but there is a procedure. There is a
Okay.
procedure for that. For example, in PhD, in articles you can do that. In PhD, you have to share with your supervisor. Then it has go to dean because they think there is a substantive change, official. But I think it's possible. I mean, actually, it is possible. Yeah.
Sir, my second question is how to find appropriate journal for particular type of research paper that we have written.
For example, like I say, interest and your article, so you look for those journals. You should share with your supervisor that they would know better. And if journal is relevant, so you can see.
Okay, thank you.
To find out journal for update. Any
Oh, thank you, sir. Participant, is there any other question you can start to ask to sir?
other
Sir,
questions?
can you share your slides, sir, to us so that the participant can go through and follow it?
Definitely, I will sharing just now. I will share with it, Dr. Bennett, and
Yes.
He will share with you all. And that's a common
Sure, sure.
courtesy. Yeah, that's a common courtesy.
Sure,
Everybody
sure.
has.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Thank you.
Participant, is there any other question you can start to ask to sir? Since we have another 25 minutes. The student, if you have any question to ask to sir, please go through.
Yeah, sometimes this discussion is important. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Participant, please go through.
Sir, since others are not asking, I have one question. Sir, how can you differentiate the last two sections, the discussion and the conclusion? How do you differentiate them while writing?
Well, right. Thank you. Yeah. Discussion is about now. Issues are identified. And then you go on to why these perspectives are different, why this perspective is suitable for you. Right? And why this, for example, you are liking a Weberian perspective or a Marxian perspective or Durkheimian perspective or a phenomenological perspective. You said in that discussion, I have all talked about it and different dimensions of your work. There are pros and cons, you can discuss. But conclusion is that you are ending it. You say you concluding with that, all these discussions are there. And after going through each of them, I conclude that this should be best policy, this should be best method, or this is the best recommendation like this. So conclusion is like you concluding it. Discussion, like for example, like Adi having now, they're having a discussion. And conclude, I would say thank you very much for all participants. I am happy that it has been a very interesting discussion. Right. So it's like this. And discussion
Sir,
is like
the
what we have said.
limitation part, limitations will come in discussion section or the conclusion section?
Limitations actually, when you're writing an article or a thesis, we actually bring it when initially when methodology part we bring it that. But in your case, it should be come in the discussion phase. Like all I discussed. However, there could be limitations to that. Right.
Right. Right, sir.
Thanks, Sandeep.
Thank
There
you.
is one question in the chat box. It was asked by somebody who said, sharing, said how interpret maternal health from a sociological perspective. See, it's a very interesting question in the sense, when we look at maternal health, nowadays a lot of work is called, it's not only maternal health, it's called, RCH, reproductive, child health, and similarly maternal health. These aspects are there as sociologists. We think some society as a sociology, it is basically belong to the area of sociology of health and sociology of gender. For instance, I am working among the maternal health care issues pertaining to anemia. A lot of maternal women suffer from the lack of nutrition, anemia, postpartum syndromes, like other issues, infection. So that is why when you look at these issues sociologically, because ultimately whether it is mother or the children or the community, all members are society. So as a sociologist, we look them from culturally, sociologically, structurally, their issues. So maternal health is essentially sociological issue if we look it at a question of gender and health. Like, and these are because these are the applicable aspect of sociological theory. For example, and it has begun from many times. For
Sir,
example,
I have a
from
question.
yes, please, please. Yeah.
Let them complete. After you can raise question, please.
Sir,
Fine,
I have
I
a
have to wait.
question.
Please, go ahead.
Yes, please go ahead.
Hello. I'm waiting for the question.
Yes, who has raised the question? HP.
XPS. Anyway, I think she has got somewhere else. Anybody else? Any other question in between?
Yeah, either ask directly or you can write down in the chat box also. So sir will to answer to all your questions.
हाँ जी भैया
HP. Now, yes.
405161 हाँ
Hello.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Sandeep sir.
Yes. Sir, actually, I want to know what is the difference between normal review process and the double peer review process while we submit to the journal. Some journals have double peer review process.
No. They say it is a blind review process. Some people double peer review process. It means
Okay.
it
Yeah, that
means it means that it goes to two persons. So double blind review means it goes to two referees, two evaluators. Single review means only it goes to one person. So double person, the two persons. Or first there is a reviewer, there is second reviewer for that. Or then it goes to either it's a reviewer, then go to editorial policy for revision. So in that case, it is double review. And blind review means when it is not, when editors are not sure to whom it has gone. It is computer automatically sends. Okay.
Right, sir. Thank you.
And someone said there is two more questions. One says, sir, can you cite some journals specifically towards history? Like when you write about history, I am not a person from history, but there are a journal of South Asian history. There are then a journal of economic history. Then there is journal of Indian History Science Congress, Sociology Congress. So there are certain journals are there. So specifically, if you write history, they are there. These journals are there, or South Asian Society journals, etc. And someone says, Muriel Fernandez says, sir, how to write a case study paper? Are there any minimum cases which we have to improve? Yes. In
Sir,
management.
I have a question too, and I'm waiting.
Pardon? Yeah, I am just answering a question from Muriel. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. You are very
Yes, sir,
clearly
you are
audible,
audible.
sir. But I think madam
Yes,
number
sir,
is.
you're audible.
Okay.
Yeah, you can ask the question now because sir is answer to another person. Please.
Yeah. So I was saying that if it is there are various issues. One person in management, it's a one study review, but there is no such single case
Sir,
review.
my question is, what all things? Sir, am I audible?
Yes.
Audible. Yes, ask ma'am, please.
Sir, my question is, what all things do we have to keep in consideration while jotting down the findings?
Okay. See, one thing is sure that your research work is testing of your hypothesis. So whatever your hypothesis is there and whatever research questions you have asked, so you have to jot down your findings, whether your findings have substantiated or justified your research, your hypothesis, or they have answered your research questions. For instance, I have asked a hypothesis that if I take about maternal health, that tribal women have more maternal health issues than rural women. If I have said so, then I have made a comparison between tribal women and rural women. Maybe on 2 villages or 4 villages, where 2 villages are tribal dominated, 2 villages are women rural dominated, rural. And I found the percentage of problems of maternal health in tribal areas is 80%, while the percentage of problems in the rural area is 70%. So therefore, my finding is that there is a 10% decline, that 10% less, rural women have lesser issues than the tribal women. So my hypothesis is proved, and this is based on my finding. Similarly, I asked the question that government has failed to do so, whether government has done sufficient. Now my findings say if government would have done sufficient, then neither rural nor tribal women would have these simple maternal health issues. So my research question, I have negated it, right? So when you have to jot down your findings in line with your hypothesis and in line with your research question. This is as simple as that, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Sir, there are some question in the chat box also, sir.
No, someone says that, sir, please no upload in in WhatsApp thing, so that will be done. Now,
Okay, sir.
Sir, it will be really appreciated if you can share the PPT with us.
Definitely.
Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Pratishtha has a question.
And I also request the organizers to share the previous day's PPTs also, because we don't have access to them.
Right.
Ma'am, definitely we will be
Thank you.
sharing all the content, all
Thank you,
the
sir.
15 days content and all the materials, all the question and answer discussed, everything will be submitted, ma'am.
Fine. There is 2 questions. One question is from Ramadevi. She said, in research paper writing, inclusion of the objective is necessary or can you exclude it? Now, it is again, if you are writing a research paper, the objective is not necessarily required, right? You can exclude it, because objective is, if you are introducing the areas where you are working, so your objective is not required, or from your methodology or other topic, it will automatically come through. So objective or objectives are not required in research paper writing. But if you have nothing more, you can do, sir. And then, as Muriel still writes, sir, you can reply my question. Yes, Muriel, I will reply to your question. That there is not a if you write a single case study in management, usually they study one study. For example, somebody studied TISCO. There is a professor in Delhi University in Faculty of Management Studies. He studied worker participation in TISCO, only one factory, and that was done. Similarly, there is a great work in management by Tyler. He studies Hawthorne industry, electrical industry. That's one study. So one case study is enough. Someone studied one case study of a particular tribal woman. Then, depending upon the amount of detail or in-depth study you have done, so one case study is fine if it is a industry specific, if it is school specific, if it is university specific. But if you want to more, you have to get into detail for that. Probably 3 or 4 or 5 more. For instance, there was a work on call girls of Delhi. So she had taken 17 case studies. So it depends upon the understanding depth, the time you have, and the work you want to do. There is no fixed answer for that. But if it's substantive, then one case study will do. Otherwise, 2, 3, 4, 5 you can add to substantiate your hypothesis in that sense. Somebody said, sir, can you please in sociology what would be standard size? Yes, in sociology, the standard size I have to exactly understand what is your work. Then only I can say about standard size. For example, if I look at the school problems of the school, I cannot take only one school, one area. Right? I have to take few schools, a cluster of schools, and then I can tell about problem. If teachers, I cannot take problems of teachers in one school only. I have to take a few schools over there. But if you look at a university, then I can take that, because universities have many departments. So ostensibly, there will number of people will come through. A school has only few teachers. So it depends upon the number of people, number of work, number of groups you do. And that is no easy answer to that. Again, depending upon the size of your respondents, number of your respondents, and the in-depth work you have done. Okay. So that is it. Someone says that in research paper writing, inclusion of the objectives, I have already answered that. Someone says child marriage and human rights. Yes, if you have a child marriage and human rights issues, then I think minimum of if you go to detail, probably if you have a 10-page or 20-page answers to one questions, then probably 5 will be true. But I think 20. If a child marriage and human rights, I think you should go for 20 case studies, right, to have a substantive. Because why it is so? Or in a research, there is 2 ways. One is inductive and deductive. So our deduction can be possible when there is a substantive number of case studies to justify. So therefore, the more the numbers are there, then it represents the numerical strength and diversity, which allows us to have a detailed investigation of things. Otherwise, if one biography. So we are not writing biography. Substantive number of cases with similar to in order to arrive at a conclusion. Right. I think I am. I have clarified my position, Muriel. Yeah. Any other question? There is
So
one more
there
question,
was,
I think.
yes, sir. There was a difference between review matrix and related to lectures,
Yeah.
which was raised by Pratish Gaur. PG in the chat box, sir.
Yeah, I think, sir, is there a difference between is there a difference between a review matrix and a review of related literature? Yes, see, you look at the simple English term, matrix. Matrix actually refers to a large quantum of things, like a river can be called as or a sea can be called as matrix. So when you say review matrix, and otherwise it can look at a standard. So in that sense, a review related literature is the only thing where you have reviewing a number of work in the same field, and the review matrix is also same. It is set a standard that you are out of 40 or 100, no, you are doing 20. So in a sense, it is more or less same. There is nothing, only words have been used, but standard technical wise, we largely use a review of literature or literature review. But in management, sometimes management studies especially, they say review matrix to add a new name to that. But I think more or less they are the same. Yeah.
Participant, is there any other question? I am audible, participant, I am audible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible.
Yes, please,
Yes, sir.
we have another.
Vasudevan sir, yes, sir, you are very much audible.
Thank you. Please, if you have any other questions, because due to some technical issues, Shar was not able to do that presentation. But anyhow, once you got the PPT, after that also, if you have any question to ask, please write to us so that we can discuss with the Sir whenever find time, and we will share with you.
Okay, sir. There are a
sorry for
certain
the-
query.
Sir, may I come in?
Yeah, tomorrow also we can put it in the chat box so that
Okay,
we
sir.
can start to communicate with the Sir what are the questions raised by the whom, and we will be clear your doubts, ma'am. Don't worry.
Okay, sir.
Only thing, unexpected technical things, not able to do the PPT thing from Sir side, and for that we regret for the inconvenience. Anyhow, we will be answering all your doubts. We will fulfill all your things, ma'am. Don't worry.
No, but the main thing is, sir, everyone, majorly, those who were
Hmm.
here from the beginning, they are still there. Even if there were hiccups, that is the seriousness of both the sides, that despite the hiccups that are happening, we all were there because we know the sessions are very, very meaningful and insightful
Sure.
also. So
Sure,
sure
ma'am,
that
sure,
you would help us out in within this one also. So no worries,
ma'am.
sir. Thank you so much.
Sir, may I come in?
Yes.
Sir, I just wanted to put my words like the session which we were eagerly listen to, sir. Sir's
Questions, make
expertise in
yourself
this.
repeat.
Hello,
Please, please,
am I
please.
audible, sir?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Sir, my point is, the topic was very interesting, and all of us were very eager to listen to sir thoroughly,
Sir.
and wanted to gain maximum out of it. But unfortunately, because of the technical hitch, we could not, and most of the part of this lecture have gone in vain. I request you if you can organize it again, if the time permit, or the because uh, if you listen or audibly, it is very convincing, and it is the student absorb much rather than other things. If you can organize it again, then we will be very, very grateful. If it possible.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Depend on our time limit. Number we will check with sir, as per his timing. Upcoming 1 or 2 days, we can also mingle it and re-discuss on that also, sir. If time permits, if Professor Tapan sir also free, we will do it, sir, definitely.
Thanks a lot, sir.
As you said, the topic is very important and discussion must be important. Definitely, we will fulfill, sir. We will do that, sir.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, Ishwar, sir. Thank you, sir. Audience participants, is there any other questions? Chat box, there was some second Ishwar G for us. Okay. Sir, they are asking your email ID and contact number, sir. Is it possible to share with the people, sir, with your PPT? Professor Tapan, sir?
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a
This
nice
session was
evening.
very interesting, but due to the boys' break and the network problem, we could not fully enjoy.
We will take our time, ma'am. We will to put a presentation in the group tomorrow. Then, as per the time limit, as per the convenient, we can go through also, ma'am. Once again.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Please,
sure.
please do it, sir.
Definitely, we will do it, ma'am. So Shar will be sharing his PPT with all the content. We will be sharing in the group so that everyone have the content of the meeting. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Good night, sir.
Good night, ma'am. Thank you, Hish ma'am, Subrani ma'am, Subrani Devi ma'am. Thank you, thanks.
Thank you, sir. Vasudevan, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bhumti sir. Thank you, Vasudevan, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir, Professor Tapan sir is there. Sir, I am audible to you. We can come to vote of thanks and conclude the meeting. I think his internet connection is very poor today. So thank you so much to each and everyone. Please join tomorrow as per the schedule. Tomorrow we will do discussion. We will have a further discussion about today's program also. Thank you so much to one and all. Thank you to our presenter. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you to each and everyone. Thanks a lot.